we know that the whole sutra is geared towards teaching all sentient beings of the cosmos. And the sentient beings are classified into the 10 categories. Those who are still in samsara, or still in the repeated cycle of life and death, and those who are already above or beyond or liberated from life and death. There are 4 stages, of course 4 different levels, of beings who are already out from life and death. And those are Pratyeka Buddha, Stravakas, Bodhisattvas, and the Buddha. Those are already out from suffering, out from mental afflictions, out from impurity of the mind, and no more incarnation, no more rebirth for them. And those who are still in samsara, there are 6 categories, still in the repeated cycle of birth and death, 6 categories, or some people call it the 5 categories, but let's call 6 categories. The hell realm, victims of hell, the ghost realm, animals realm, human realms, Asura's realm, and heavenly beings realm, or people call them gods or guardian angels. Those are the 6 realms. So altogether there are 10 realms. And where are we? We are in the lower 6 realms, in the middle, humans. And this sutra is actually a very summarized form of teaching all these 10 realms to beings who are in samsara. We are dominated, or we attach to the 18 ramifications of our mentality. So we have the eyes, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind, the 6 sense organs, attaching to the 6 enviros. What are those? Form, sound, smell, taste, sense of touch, and all mentality ramifications. So our 6 organs attach to the 6 enviros, creating in us the 6 consciousnesses. With the eye consciousnesses, ear, nose, and so on and so forth, up to the mental, the mano consciousness. And there are also the 2 more, the manas consciousness and the alaya consciousness, which account for the banking consciousness, the storage, the memory. We all have that. And this sutra is giving very brief outline as how to practice in order to be away from samsara. Now, we already have talked about the Four Noble Truths, suffering, the origins of suffering, or the causes of suffering, cessation of suffering, and path leading to cessation of suffering. The Four Noble Truths being brought in here is because this is common sense. This is solving problems of the human existence. This is just like a cram course in the Harvard case study. If you're given a case to resolve problem, and to give you a case in which there's a few thousand words to give you a story of a company and how to resolve the problem of this company, identify the problems, find out the causes of the problem, introduce methods to solve the problems. That is the path leading to cessation of suffering. Get methods to resolve the problems. In this case, of course, human problems. And then, after all that is resolved, cessation of suffering. No more problems. Because you identify the problems, the causes of the problem, and introduce methods to solve the problems, then the problem is solved. So that's the Four Noble Truths, which I already have given in detail. And then the sutra goes forward to explain into a little bit of more detail. When you identify the problems, you know the method. What does this method involve? This method basically involves wisdom, morality, and meditation. So you need wisdom. You need to build up wisdom. You need to have morality. You need to have meditation in order to arrive at those methods to solve the problems. So we need to have right view, right thought. Have we got right view and right thought? Not necessarily, we may not have. Yes, we have views. We have our egoistic view, our self views, our obstinate views that cannot be changed. because of our view, but you got to have the right view, a view that is right. Now how? This is just a brief outline. You need to get more into it. The Noble Eightfold Path, which is a good summary, but actually there are 37 aids to enlightenment. The 4 arousing of mindfulness, the 4 right endeavors, the 4 requisitions for obtaining supernatural powers, the 5 spiritual faculties, the 5 spiritual powers, the 7 limbs of enlightenment, and finally, of course, the Noble Eightfold Path. And the 37 aids to enlightenment require about 1 course in 1 semester, 150 hours at least, or 200 hours. So it's a cram course now. All right, so let's get to the first one. And what is it from? This is from Anapanasati Sutra and Satipatthana Sutra. The first one, the 4 arousing of mindfulness, contemplation, mindfulness on the body, contemplation on feelings, contemplation on the mind, and contemplation on mental objects. The 4 contemplations. And contemplation on the body, the abandoning of learning how to renounce sensual desires, learning how to see the impurity of the bodies. If you really become successful in contemplation of the body, you would not attach to sensual pleasure anymore. Because we have been so much used to treating sensual pleasure as something taken for granted. You think that, for example, man and woman relationship is normal. But according to the Buddha, that only belongs to the world of desire. That accounts for reincarnation. That accounts for our downfall into the realm of desire. There are existences right above the sensual pleasure, above us. We don't even know about it. So contemplation on the body, contemplation on feelings, abandoning or renouncing attachment to feelings, pleasurable feelings, non-pleasurable feelings, and neutral feelings. Contemplation on the mind, abandoning of the notion of permanence, the seeing of impermanence, causation, sunyata, emptiness of thought and volition. And then contemplation of mental object, it's of course renouncement of attachment of egos and seeing of asvabhava, which is there's nothing that has its own self nature. Everything is causation, everything is conditional. So these is related to the 5 skandhas. The first one relates to matter, the second one relates to feeling, the third and the fourth relates to conceptualization, volition, and consciousness. So the 4 arousing of mindfulness is geared towards renunciation of the 5 skandhas. That is, see the imperfection and impurities of our mind and our body. Not until we have abandoned our attachment to the 5 skandhas can we be free from reincarnations, can we be liberated from rebirth and the cycle of life and death. The second one will be the 4 right endeavors. The first one is, in whatever we do, we have to know that we have to get rid of existing evil deeds. If you're doing all kinds of wrongdoings, how can you be awakened? So you have to get rid of all the existing evil deeds. You know what evil deeds are. You have to get rid of them. Getting rid of something is on the passive side. You have to be active too, actively preventing evil deeds from arising. Passively getting rid of them, actively prevent them from arising. How do you prevent them from arising? You got to have a strong will. I cannot do this. I don't want to do this. You don't want to be lured away, or you don't want to be enticed away into doing something that is evil. You don't want to get into bad company. You don't want to get into bad friends. You don't want to get into friends who like casino gambling. You don't want to get into friends who like to go into sensual pleasures. So you have to prevent things happen that way. Third, to start wholesome deeds. This is just regarding the evil deeds, but that 3 and 4 is regarding starting wholesome deeds, develop existing wholesome deeds. Okay, so these are the 4 right endeavors. And then the 4 requisites for achieving dhyana, the 4 requisites for, so to speak, for a good meditation. How do you get a good session of meditation? Concentration of desire towards achieving dhyana, concentration of energy towards achieving dhyana, achieving meditation, concentration of investigation towards achieving dhyana, concentration of analysis towards achieving dhyana. Now that is desire, energy, investigation, and analysis. Well, you may say, should we abandon desire? How come we have desires? How come we need to build up desire? This is the right desire, the desire to get out from samsara, the desire to be good, the desire to get a good session of meditation, the desire to help, the desire to be compassionate, the desire to become a Buddha. This desire is the rightful desire, the right destination, not desire to get sensual pleasure. You need desire, but not the wrong kind of desire. In other words, you need a destination to go to. Energy, you need to build up energy, you need to be hardworking at it towards meditation. You need to meditate and work hard at it. Investigation, what is investigation? Investigation, you not need the right method to get into the meditation. For example, anapanasati, concentration on the breath. You need to build up your concentration. You investigate and build up your concentration. You need to have samatha, concentration, an object of concentration. Analysis, wisdom. You need to have wisdom. You need to have vipassana. You need to build up your wisdom in the process of your practice. The first 3 powers are especially required for samatha. The last power is required for vipassana. The continuous attention to the object stabilizes the mind in concentration and brings into being the samatha state, while the contemplation of the object in terms of its qualities and characteristics brings into being the vipassana state. So one is for stabilizing the mind, stilling the mind. The other is to build up the quality of the mind, the quality of the thinking. Not just in stabilizing and distilling it, you build up the quality in the mind. Not just the quantity of concentration, the quality of wisdom. So that's the 4 requisites for meditation. Next, the 5 spiritual faculties. You need to have the faculties of strong faith, strong energy, strong mindfulness, strong concentration, and strong wisdom. So you need strong faith, developing confidence and enthusiasm towards practice, strong energy, applying more efforts on developing more energy, controlling sloth and torpor. Sloth and torpor is laziness. Strong mindfulness, as one's energy improves, their awareness and mindfulness will naturally become stronger. Strong concentration, that is for samatha. Strong wisdom, that is for vipassana. We need samatha and vipassana, the 5 spiritual faculties. The 5 spiritual powers: faith, energy, mindfulness, tranquility, and wisdom. These are the same as the 5 spiritual faculties just mentioned before. They are called the powers here because as the practitioner progresses, the 5 faculties interact with each other with the most appropriate balance and gain more momentum. So gradually, the mundane nature of physical faculties transform into the supramundane nature of spiritual powers. For example, when you see something through your faculty of eyes, your mind is uncontrolled. You then generate liking or disliking. But after achievement of the spiritual powers, you see them in a spiritual way. You won't have liking and disliking because power is to strengthen it. You see how common sense it is? It's to strengthen it. So it's 5 spiritual powers. And then the 7 enlightenment factors. So you need to have mindfulness, investigation, energy, and then you have joy in it, tranquility, concentration, and equanimity. And these 7 enlightenment factors, there is causes and effect in it. And in the previous one, there are more causes than effect. You need to have to put in all these causes in order later to realize effect. But this is to tell you that as you progress, you will develop mindfulness, You know that you develop mindfulness. You know you are good at it. You develop investigation, concentration. You develop energy in it. So if you ask, if I have worked out all these things, what would I get? People like to know, what do I get? I want to get something. You get mindfulness, that you know yourself. You get into concentration, that you know yourself, you have concentration. You get into become more energetic. Whatever you're doing, you become more energetic. Just to give you an example, when I was at second year in school and university, when I was about, say, 23, 24, I don't know, I forgot. I meditate for 3-4 hours per day. And then I became very energetic. I don't know, I can walk faster than before, 3-4 times faster. I can write faster. I still remember in the examination, when I was written examination, normally when I write fast, but when I work at meditation, I write 3-4 times faster. It's just like a machine, because your mind floats out a lot of ideas that in your examinations, you simply, your hands cannot be faster than your mind, but then you're so energetic that even that your hand keep in tune with the mind. Like a robot, like a robot. And everything you do, everything you say, it's much faster. Your thinking is much faster. And then you have more joy. You're more joyful. You just don't know why. You're so joyful. So much pleasure, so much happiness. And then you have concentration, you have equanimity. This is the 7 enlightenment factors. And then, of course, the Eightfold Path, wisdom, morality, and meditation. So that accounts for, which I originally told you, the 37 eights, or some people call the factors to enlightenment. If you research into many, many sutras, you'll find, for example, in a book called Path of Purification, it contains all these. The path of purification. The Visuddhimagga, translated from Sanskrit, Tibetan into English. The path of purification, translated into English, will contain all this information. Remember, in the sutra it says, no wisdom and no attainment, because there's no object to be obtained. Now those two sentences are geared towards teaching the Bodhisattvas that no wisdom. People may say, oh, how come there's no wisdom? How come there's no attachment to wisdom? Because the Bodhisattva attached to Prajnaparamita. The Buddha said, don't attach to Prajnaparamita. Don't say that, oh, don't attach to Prajnaparamita. You don't need Prajnaparamita. You don't need wisdom. No wisdom means you don't need wisdom? No. For us, we need the wisdom. For the Bodhisattva who already have applied wisdom and already have become successful in awakening from wisdom, you get rid of the wisdom. For those who already have arrived on the shore in Victoria, you leave the ship. You don't attach to the ship anymore. The Bodhisattvas who use wisdom to arrive at the shore of enlightenment throw away wisdom anymore. Throw away the Buddha. So people say, do Buddhists believe in a God? They usually ask the question, you know, in what? Because in their mind they say, they feel, we have a God and you don't have a God. You know, they always believe in having, right? But the Buddha said the problem comes from believing in having, acquire more, one more, I want this, I want that. We have a God, you don't have a God, so we are better. They think that having is good. But the Buddhist teaching is, get rid of the having. You won't be awakened unless you've gotten rid of all your having, all your acquisition, all your ego, all your self. You still want more. How can you be enlightened? How can you be awakened from the trap of acquisition? So, the Buddha said, get rid of Prajnaparamita. That's teaching the Bodhisattva who already have gotten out from samsara. We have not, you know. But in the previous teaching, in the Sutra, we already have been taught how to do it, right? The 18 realms, how to get rid of volition, consciousness, how to get rid of this. They already have taught that. But now the Buddha is teaching the Bodhisattva who already liberated from life and death, but they still attached to wisdom. There are basically two kinds of Bodhisattvas. The kind of Bodhisattvas who are expedient Bodhisattvas, and the kind of Bodhisattvas who are real Bodhisattvas. Both are already out from life and death, above us already. But the expedient Bodhisattvas practice the 6 paramitas. The expedient Bodhisattvas practice the 6 paramitas. They still maintain the view of the subjective method and the ability to transform and the object that is transformed. In other words, the Bodhisattva is always helping people, right? Helping victims of suffering. Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, or Mother Teresa as a Bodhisattva. Mother Teresa is helping all those 6 patients. The Buddhist teaching has no boundary as to religion. We're just limited by our thinking and thinking of a Roman Catholic, a Christianity, a Hindu, a Muslim. It does not matter what religion. Mother Teresa is a Bodhisattva, helping people. But if you practice the 6 paramitas and you still think that, oh, I'm already out from life and death, I'm helping all these people, I am the person who helped, the Bodhisattva who helped, these are the objects of being helped, I have a method, my method is the 6 paramitas, you're not completely free. You still have an attachment. You still attach the ship. That's the expedient Bodhisattvas. Another real Bodhisattva is they practice the 6 paramitas without any attachment to the view of the ability, the method, the object. That's complete emptiness. That is complete purity of the mind. No wisdom and also no attainment, because there's no object to be obtained. That is the real Bodhisattva, which is neighboring on the Buddhahood. That is a higher level Bodhisattvas. It does not mean that expedient Bodhisattvas are no good. They're already out from life and death. They're always saving us. They are our teachers. But at a different level, the teachers still have a teaching method. The professor still have a way, still have the students, still have a teaching method, still have this course, still have this course outline, still have this. They're at the higher level that is not limited to the course outline. That's not limited to the teachers and the candidates and the teaching. That's above that. I was told by a professor, a very experienced professor, I still remember the example he said. An assistant professor talks about a subject for 1 semester. A professor talks about a subject for his whole life, not just semester, 1 semester. And really a high-level professor, they have no boundary, no limitation. Now this is just an example, okay? Now next, abandoning the prajna paramita. Prajna is supreme and unique. Jna is consciousness and understanding. Paramita, it means perfection or the other shore, or that which has arrived at the other shore. So the Bodhisattva should abandon prajna paramita. Very generally, it contains dana, sila, zanti, virya, dhyana, and prajna, which includes giving, ethics, patience and tolerance, vigor, mental strength, meditation, and perfection of wisdom. Okay, so these are the 6 paramitas. So, no wisdom and no attachment to wisdom, because there's no object to be obtained, is geared towards teaching the Bodhisattvas. Okay, so let's get back to the original sutra. We said no wisdom and also no attainment, because there's no object to be obtained. Now that is to teach expedient Bodhisattvas. Don't attach even to the method. Don't attach to religion. No religion. Don't attach to the Buddha. No Buddha. Don't attach to Buddhahood. No Buddhahood. Don't attach to anything. You should be free from attachment. You see how ultimate it is? If the Buddha said, don't attach to anything, but only attach to my method, that's not Buddha. Don't believe in anything, you just believe in me. That's not awakening. You understand? So that's the reason why there's no creator. There's no supernatural being that dominates you. You are the creator. You have that creativity. You are God. You are Buddha. It doesn't have to be Buddha to be the Buddha. You are the Buddha. You just haven't discovered the Buddha. You just haven't discovered that. And even that word Buddha should be thrown away. But the Buddha has to use language to tell us, right? If the Buddha didn't use language to tell us, how do we know? Throw away that language. That language is a limitation. Don't attach to religion. There was a story. A few monks gathered together on the top of the mountain. Chilly snow, winter. Everybody was getting so cold in that hut where they meditate. And there was one monk who said, oh, we're so cold. So what did he do? From the altar table, he took the wooden Buddha statue, put it down there, and started to chop it up with an axe to burn it to get fire. All the other guys get amazed at what he just did, startle and say, stop! You are committing a big guilt crime that you will reincarnate for life. How can you chop up the Buddha statue and burn it for fire? and then the monk said, from that wooden Buddha statue, can we get something that is so valuable that it is wisdom? What can we get from that Buddha statue? Can we get something so valuable from it? The monk asked, what can we get from it? Can we get some diamonds from it, for example? When I burn it up, can I get diamonds from it? They don't know, how can you get diamonds from it? How can you get something valuable from it, from the wood? If I can't get anything valuable from it, how come I couldn't chop it up and burn it? So we chop it up and burn it. For some people, it's a curse to chopping up the Buddha statue. All these people who are termed enlightened, they value that Buddha statue and this enlightened being. How come you are attaching to a piece of wood? But that does not mean that I tell you can chop up the Buddha statue. You're in big trouble if you did that, because you're not enlightened. You're not enlightened. He can if he's enlightened. That enlightened monk can. But you cannot, we cannot. I want to repeat, don't do that. If you do that, I don't know what kind of consequences you will face. Okay, the Bodhisattvas, through practicing Prajnaparamita, have no obstacles in mind. So that if you practice the wisdom, you will not have mental afflictions. You will have no obstacles in mind. Having no obstacles, then you overcome fear, anxiety, ignorance, jealousy, hatred, depression. You have no more mental afflictions. You overcome all fear, liberating yourself forever from delusions, ultimately realizing Nirvana. All Buddhas of the past, present, and future, relying on Prajnaparamita, attain Anuttara Samya Sambuddhi. You still have to rely on Prajnaparamita. You still have to rely on that ship to get you to arrive at Victoria. You don't chop up that ship. You chop up that ship, how can you get there? If you rely on Prajnaparamita, it will get you Anuttara Samya Sambuddhi. The roots of delusions. What are these delusions? We have ignorance, we have aversion, hatred, attachment of desire. We have pride, view about oneself as high and looking down on others, deluded doubts, deluded views. A person adopts a certain view due to ignorance and attachment. Deluded view of the five aggregates. We think that our body and mind is us, we have a self. Extreme view, wrong views, grasping at one's false views as supreme, and wrong views of behavior or ethical conduct. So these are the delusions. We all have these delusions. And of course, we need to know more detail as what these delusions mean. As I said, I won't get into details of these delusions. You can find out more about these delusions. You see, the Buddhist teaching is in minute details. There's millions of books on it. And you don't need to swallow up all these millions of books. It's just like the ocean. To know the taste of the ocean water, you don't need to drink up the whole ocean. Just scoop up a few, taste it, and you know. You don't need to scoop up the whole ocean. There's no way. Okay? So these are the delusions. What is nirvana? Nirvana means blown off, as in a candle. Nirvana refers to the imperturbable stillness of the mind after the fires of desire, aversion, and delusion have been finally extinguished. The attainment of nirvana is liberation from samsara, liberation from repeating cycle of birth and death. So nirvana is like stopping the fire, blowing out the fire, stillness, no more action, no more movement, no more fire, no more burning. We still have burning, we still have the movement. Just like an example that Venerable Hong gave before, we need exercise to move our body to get fit. But in stilling the mind, we just need the opposite. We need to stop the action, stop the thinking, stop the movement. Right now, we're moving our mind all the time, non-stop. Moving into what area? Moving into areas of aversion, ignorance, hatred, fears, you name them. We move in that direction. Like exercising the body. You want to jog, you want to run, you want to golf, you want to play basketball, you move it. But working on the mind is just the opposite. You need to still it. You need to near it, nirvana. You need to nirvana it. Blow it out, stop the motion. The Abhidhamma Mahavibhasa Sutra, a Sarvastivadin commentary of the 3rd century, how it defines nirvana. Nirvana. Vana is the path of rebirth, samsara. Nir is leaving off. You leave the path of samsara, leave the path of repeated reincarnation. Vana also means forest. Nir means without, leaving. Without the forest to be in a state which has gotten rid of forever. The dense forest of the 3 fires of lust, malice, and delusion. Leave the forest of lust, the forest of malice, the forest of delusion. Vana means weaving, leading together, being free. You're free from the cocoon of the threads of the caterpillars. So freedom from the knots of the waxation of karma, and in which the texture of both birth and death is not to be woven. In other words, you bite up the cocoon and leave it. Vana means stench or stink. Nir means without stench or stink of karma. Being without and free from all stench of karma. No more karma. Karma free. Leaving off that. This is nirvana. And finally, arrive at Anuttara Samya Sambuddhi. Uttara means the very top. Anuttara, that means topper than the top. Above the top, right? Unexcelled, complete enlightenment, which is an attribute of every Buddha. It is the highest, correct, and complete or universal knowledge or awareness, the perfect wisdom of a Buddha in bliss. Samya, that means equal and right. Sambuddhi is understanding, awakening from a dream. So that is Anuttara Samya Sambuddhi. Getting back to the sutra again. So, the Bodhisattvas who practicing Prajnaparamita have no obstacles in mind, having no obstacles to overcome fear, liberating themselves forever from delusions. Ultimately realizing nirvana, all Buddhas of the past, present, and future, relying on Prajnaparamita, attain Anuttara Samya Sambuddhi. You think there's only one Buddha? There's millions of beings who already have awakened. They are Buddhas of the past. They are also Buddhas now. You are a present day sentient being working towards the Buddhahood. And you could be a future Buddha. You are a future Buddha to come. You are a future Buddha. Not just one Buddha. Buddhas are just enlightened, complete, out of nirvana beings. They're in a place where there's no more suffering, no more reincarnations, then attain anuttara samya sambuddhi. All right, I would make all this red, and next time, one more session, I will finish this up. Okay? So that's it for today.